Baku-Khankendi moving ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome again here to Azerbaijan. Stage 4 already of this 5-day stage race. It looks to be a profile for the fast men, although we do have a challenging climb in the final of today's stage. But first we look back at yesterday, which was a pretty straightforward sprint stage with a breakaway up the road of 4 riders initially and several teams helping out in the chase. We see the Mongolian national champion in our break, also Nicolas Sester Kalmutarov, the second oldest rider in the bike race, and Brian Sanchez. They got a minute and a half, but on these very wide lanes in Minja Jafir, it was a sprint with a final lead out here by Aaron Gate for Gleb Syriza. On the wheel of Syriza is Timothy Dupont, but Syriza makes it in the end with a powerful push to the line. His teammate Yevgeny Fedorov is still the leader on GC. But Syriza takes over the green leader's jersey for the points competition. Lennart Teugels is the best climber and the best young rider is Iker Gomez. This is the result of yesterday. Today might look a little bit different because we have a pretty gnarly climb at 30 kilometers from the line, but a mostly downhill finish again, with a few corners actually.
Yeah, it's possible.
That was a very short interview by Syriza, but I remember he praised his teammates, keeping him safe and well to sprint for the win. 4 seconds still between Fedorov and Balmer, Mulleberan, Fagundes, Gate, Asnar, Kovili, Burnett, Umba and Urko Berade in the top 10, with Callum Johnston just outside of the top 10, also at that 19 seconds behind race leader Fedorov. Points Syriza in that green jersey, very recognizable of course. And then we have our king of the mountains. He picked up some points yesterday, Lennart Teugels, and he picked up some points today, I should say, and is still the leader with 3 more climbs to go. And still our best young rider, Iker Gomez of the Equipo Kernpharma, with a nice gap on the competition since he was the only one who was in that first echelon on stage 2. Today we start our stage in Ganya.
Elmin inkişaf elədiyi əsas mərkəzlərdən biri olub. Bugün belə bir tədbirin Gəncə şəhərində
And she explains about the history of Ganya and that it's been one of the main centres where culture and science have flourished. And an event like this is significant, she says. It demonstrates the unity and solidarity among the people. And it also signifies the interest of young people in the sports. And at the same time, it's one of the finest examples of unity and solidarity among the regions, is what she said. She's the executive secretary of the Commission for the Protection of the Children's Right under the Ganya City Executive Power. That is one business card. But luckily I had a translation ready. I, of course, do not speak the language. But these are the wonderful images of a town with a very long history. If you Google Ganya, by the way, you also find that it has a different meaning, but let's not go into that. This is the birthplace of one of the major Persian language poets from the past, Nizami Ganjavi. But maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. The city of Ganya is where we start our stage today. We have a climb to start. It's 13.5 kilometers long, 2.2%, so nothing major. And we already know that Lennart Teugels picked up the 3 available points there. An intermediate sprint at 88.5 kilometers to go. A second one at 60.7. And then we make our way to the Cat 2 climb that we have, which is pretty steep, 2.8 kilometers at 7.2%, but at certain points it looks a little bit steeper than that, and then a finish in the town of Naftalan. That is what is in store for the riders today. This morning, a little bit of air in the tires, getting ready with the communication, final tweaks to the bikes by the mechanics, and everybody getting ready for the 152.8 kilometers of the day. We had the local youth also doing a little bit of a race before the start this morning, which was at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock local time. There's a 2-hour time difference and a 3-hour time difference even with the UK and Ireland. Lovely weather yet again, around the 20°C mark for the riders. Well, that is different information than I had. 27 we do today. That means an extra bottle of water for the riders, but as you can see, hardly any wind. Imagine having a crosswind on plains like that. That could be very, very interesting indeed. But yeah, it is almost wind still today for our riders. The jerseys, Yevgeny Fedorov in blue, Gleb Syriza in green, Lennart Teugels in red and Iker Gomez in white. $125 riders left. We had one rider abandoned today, one rider of the Azerbaijani national team. And here we have our first live images. Stage 4 of the Baku-Khankendi Azerbaijan race, and yet again we are racing at a furious pace. As you can see, only 30 kilometers left, and that means we are about 15 minutes ahead of the fastest schedule yet again, with a breakaway that was originally 9 riders strong, but we are on that first category climb. The stats, 2.8 kilometers, 7.2% average. The peloton currently at 2:14, and that means that, in my opinion, our breakaway stands a little bit of a chance. But maybe, Michael Hutchinson, good morning, you have a different opinion.
2:14, 30 kilometers to go. Bit of pace on at the bunch. I think the breakaway will be lucky.
Yeah, it's a breakaway day?
Lucky. No.
Oh.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not Nostradamus, but my money was just looking at the. There's a level of aggression just at the front of the bunch at the minute, the lower slopes of this climb, that suggests to me that there is a proper interest in the bunch in pulling this back. The breakaway is beginning to fragment just as we cut away from the breakaway on this climb. It's beginning to fragment a bit, and hasn't necessarily been working brilliantly together even up to this point. So. I always a man for the breakaway. I love it when the breakaway wins, but I think today my money's on the bunch we're looking at the minute.
Well, our breakaway, here we go. The man at the front is Pablo Carrascosa, a 23-year-old from Spain. On his wheel, the man from the team of Medellin, David Gonzalez. Carrascosa is 4 minutes 44 seconds down on GC. The best ranked rider in this break was Jamboyan Sambayar of the Burgos Burpela team. Other riders in our breakaway were Roman Chiskov, Ahmet Erken. They were already dropped. We also have the national champion of Korea. I think that is actually the man trying to bridge across. For Leaning Star, it was Chiskov. We had Juan Pedro Lozano of Tirangano, Fabrice Lefebvre, the 19-year-old of Tarteletto, Anthony Muric of Mazewcze Zerskie Polskie, and that is it. But as you see, the break is fragmented, and despite the fact that Equipo Ken Pharma have one rider in the break, they also want to win the general classification, Michael, with either Uriarte or Berrade. So let's go.
Yeah, it's the minute it's Kern Pharma versus Kern Pharma, which is an unusual situation. Yeah. I can see, well, they may not be aware that they're now down to just 2 at the front. That might change their tactics a bit, because I think they wouldn't necessarily have been backing Pablo Carrascosa in a sprint from the group if it was staying away. But I think they're going to keep chasing. If I were them, mind you, I'd be letting XDS Astana do the work.
Yeah, but yesterday they also got a little hand from the Portuguese Obidos team to bring back that lead group. Also, Tartalet Utrecht got involved. I think it's more interesting to see which riders are dropped, and well, there we have it. Gleb Syriza in trouble on this climb, and it's not an easy climb. This group has about 800-900 meters of climbing left to do. I think there is a possibility he might come back on. It's not really that big, but it's not as flat as we had yesterday. And Michael, it's also not straightforward. We have quite a lot of corners and curves and what have you in the final kilometre. So hopefully the group will not be too big.
Yeah, I think it would stand a reasonably sized sprint. There's a right-hander at 3.2 kilometres is the first landmark. Another right-hander just before the Flamme Rouge, which is moderately sharp. And after that, the only thing between them and the finish at 500 metres, there's a roundabout where they're going to sweep round, bearing right, which on the map doesn't look anything too terrifying. It's very much going to depend how that is barriered when we get there. So I think I wouldn't be too alarmed by a decent-sized group coming into the sprint today. It's also slightly uphill in that last kilometre, which takes a little bit of the sting out of it too.
We pick up Ahmet Erkan, the Turkish rider from the breakaway, as we have Equipo Kernpharma, who have 6 riders up there in GC, really trying to animate the race here. One of the Bardiani riders, as Ahmet Erkan completely parks his bike there on the left-hand side of the road. This is our King of the Mountain sprint. And the points go to David Gonzalez, the 23-year-old from Colombia, just ahead of Pablo Carrascosa.
Yes, I'm not convinced that gap is 2 minutes, because these riders in the break are getting back very, very quickly. So I think they're closer than that.
Well, we'll see. These are the remaining riders of the breakaway making their way up to the top of the climb, where we see Martin Bruin, the commissaire, noting their numbers, making sure everything is okay. Look how small that group is. Wow. That climb really did some damage.
It's not a super long climb, but it averages, the 3 kilometres or thereabouts, averaging 7% and kicking up towards the top. And this is the race coming back together, I think, isn't it?
Well, these are still the riders from the peloton attacking.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
And they're picking up Jambal Jans Sainbayar of Burgospur Pellets, and they now reach the top of the climb. It could be a minute and a half, maybe not 2 minutes.
Yeah,
but
no, it's not 2 minutes, but it's a decent size. It's a reasonable gap. It depends a little bit now, obviously, what happens in the descent, and it's not a straightforward descent. It's kind of, it kicks up and down before finally, really into the last 10 kilometres is the point where we get to something you would classify as a proper descent into the finish line.
well, it's a group of roughly 40 riders left in the peloton, I estimate, from this point, where we have some of the remaining riders of the original breakaway, our 2 leaders, Pablo Carrascosa and David Gonzalez. Some other riders still following there with the Terengganu rider. Lozano was still up there. The South Korean national champion is somewhere still in between, but I think we mostly, and Anthony Murgi is still up there, but I think we swept up most of the riders of the original 9-man breakaway. But this is an interesting race situation, in my opinion.
Organisation has really just gone out of that chasing group. You can just tell by the shape of the group and just by these riders who are managing to attack from it. So I don't know whether that means these riders feel that they've got the riders ahead sort of under control.
Well, this is already a battle for GC, Michael, because we spot Henok Muller-Baran, of course, who's third on GC. We don't have any bonus sprints left until the 10, 6 and 4 on the line, but yeah, we were already almost 20 minutes ahead of the fastest schedule, and this makes it even faster. The stages here have been lightning fast, and I think the people planning the broadcast, Michael, have not taken into account that the racing would be this fast.
No, it has been quick. I mean, the roads have been good, the weather's been good. And the racing has been pretty aggressive, for the most part, anyway. We've had a lot of situations like this in the last couple of days where, you know, there's a lot of a slightly disorganized feeling, attacking a lot of very fragmented groups. The second day of the race was a lot like that, certainly.
Well, we started today in the town of Ganya, and when I googled that, I accidentally ended up learning that Ganya is the oldest and most commonly used synonyms for the cannabis flower. That has nothing to do with today's Finnish town, which is one of the historic towns on the Silk Road route. But because the racing is so lightning fast, we can't even go into the Silk Road, and we can't even go into people taking crude oil baths. Maybe after the finish. We'll just keep it for the podium ceremony, Michael, your crude oil bath.
Quite interesting, actually.
Medicinal bath story.
Have to stay for the podium to get that.
We put in a teaser, don't we? This is still Lefevre of the original breakaway, not related to Patrick Lefevre in any way. And here we are with our two leaders on their way to Naftalan. We're actually almost in the city, and then we take a little detour before we finally end up inside town, right bang in the middle of the centre. Here are the confirmation of the points. None of these riders play any role in the King of the Mountains competition, meaning that Lennart Teugels, who took the 3 points on the first climb of the day, is now at 20. His direct rival Alex Balmer is at 10, and we've got 15 points on offer in tomorrow's stage. So that classification is still an option, especially, Michael, if Alex Balmer goes full speed ahead for the general classification.
Yeah, I mean, Teugels yesterday with the post-stage interview was saying, oh, he was definitely here for the GC. He wasn't going for the KOM points. So it didn't necessarily look that way on the first climb of the day. But on the other hand, the group was still pretty much together at that point, so it wasn't a major excursion out of his way to go and grab the points. I would say he's in the driving seat in that, because I think Alexander Balmer, who's currently second place at 4 seconds, he'll be going for GC. And tomorrow's really is going to be the GC shakedown. Tomorrow's a different stage. It's sort of 3,000-something meters of climbing tomorrow. It's going to be a properly hard day, and it's 181 kilometers, so it's got a lot more climbing and a lot more distance. It's very much the Queen stage of the week.
Yeah, most definitely. Today only 1,100 meters of climbing. Tomorrow we are close to, just like you said, almost 3,000. These are the riders who attacked from the bunch, and some of the remaining riders of the breakaway, but yeah, there's not a lot of cooperation whatsoever at this point.
I can see why the current farmer rider doesn't want to be pulling.
He's got his entire team there behind him, and one up front still. If we look at the general classification, might be interesting to mention, it's still quite close together. Of course, we have Fedorov in the blue jersey. He's got 4 seconds on Balmer, 14 on Muraberan, 15 on Fagundes, 16 on Gates, 18 on Hugo Asnar, and then 19 on a group of 16 riders who are all at 19 seconds, including Callum Johnston, the Scottish rider, who is still out there. So, yeah, out of that group, because, after that group at 19 seconds, which includes 3 Leeling Star riders, 3 Equipo-Ken Pharma, and 3 Bardiani riders. Number 24 is actually at 4 minutes 42. So for GC, it's all about those riders in the top 23 of the general classification. That will be tomorrow. The gaps are still quite small, with 16 bonus seconds on the road and those climbs in the finale. So tomorrow will be exciting, but today we're in for a good finish. Will the sprinters be able to come back? I rather doubt it. Michael, what a fantastic spectacle we could have had if there was wind here. This
Yes.
is a prime echelon road of dreams.
It is smooth, it is wide, it is in the middle of the plain, it is perfection from that, yes, and here we are with 4 kilometers an hour that I think actually is just blowing into the riders' faces anyway.
Yeah, it is. It's really sad.
A lot of looking around. There's still quite a biggish group here. I think think one or two of the sprinters might get back up. Depends just how, because Krebs-Saritsa even wasn't dropped off the bottom of the climb. He was really only dropped a few hundred meters from the top. There's another group we can just catch in the background coming back.
Aaron Gate is there.
In that. Yep.
And there's Burgsport team are really animating the race right now. They have quite a few riders up there in GC as well. Fedorov there in the blue jersey, quite recognisable.
The leaders' jerseys are great at this race. I approve of this.
Thank you. They have your seal of
really
approval.
Easy to spot.
They'll be very happy to hear.
And I think we've got all the jerseys. No, we haven't got Saritsa's not in this group. All the other jerseys are in this group because we saw Leonard Teugels a moment ago riding with Iker Gomez.
Yeah, didn't pick up any points, but showing that he's got the form to stay with the first group. Also tomorrow, when the points are awarded in the final. So the situation as we speak, as we just picked up the South Korean national champion, we have two leaders here with number 13, Pablo Carrascosa, Spanish rider, 4 minutes down in GC, and David Alejandro Gonzalez of the Medellin team. There you have the names on your screen. Behind them are, as far as we know, still two riders of the original breakaway, with the Polish rider Antoni Muric and Juan Pedro Lozano. And then this, remnants of the peloton with Medellin currently at the front, the team from Colombia. But this is a little bit of stop and go attacking, Michael.
Yeah, there's not a lot of organisation about this. They're probably reasonably confident they're going to pull back the two riders up front, and as you quite rightly said earlier, this is just beginning to develop into a GC battle. We might get another breakaway, another attack, finally getting itself together out of this group, perhaps containing some of the GC contenders. But it's on and off and on and off again at the minute.
Yeah, the group has become a little bit bigger, but it's hard to see who of the faster men are still in this group. There is a rather sizable group coming back at the moment, which may include some of the fast guys like Krebs-Saritsa, although the road is still rising at this point.
It's kicking up and down. This climb's only, I think, a couple of 100 meters long, so it's quite a big group coming back behind.
Lennart Muller-Baran there in the colours of XCS Astana, one of the favourites for GC. Jeremy Fort, who is the founder of African Rising, a non-profit organisation working across Africa to help African cycling, is actually serves as a neutral service car today. So that is really cool. There are 8 African riders in the race today from the biggest cycling nations, which are Eritrea, Algeria, Ethiopia, Mauritius and Morocco, with Muller-Baran, of course, representing Eritrea. This year we have 130 African men and women racing in the top 3 levels of UCI. So it is on the up, although on the highest level at World Tour Racing, the number of African men and women is struggling just a little bit. But Africa Rising is a great non-profit organisation helping African cycling because, as you know, Michael, there is a huge potential in Africa.
Absolutely. That long shot we just had, there were 3 groups that looked to me like they were about to coalesce into what at that point was going to be, I would have thought, most of the original peloton. Some riders who aren't going to get back, but I think there's a good chance that 3rd group has got some of the sprinty types in it.
Yeah. This is the Terangano team. Very colourful jerseys there. Let's see, 20 kilometres to go with our 2 leaders. And all of a sudden that gap is indicated at 30 seconds.
These boys are riding pretty well together. They're much more organised than the original bigger break was, but I think it's a little sort of too little too late.
I'm afraid, yes. Pablo Carrascosa, he is 23 years old. This is his 2nd year with Equipo Ken Pharma. As you know, a team that's looking for a new lead sponsor. Ken Pharma is ending their sponsorship after this year. And the other man in the break is David Alejandro Gonzalez, a 23-year-old from Colombia, who is on his 2nd year with Team Medellin, the team of Oscar Sevilla.
I hope Current Pharma find another sponsor, but I'm gonna miss the jerseys.
I
love the Current Pharma jersey.
Yeah, I'm a fan as well. Throughout the years, not only this year, but they've had a good design, and the green is quite recognisable too.
Yeah, it's lovely and distinctive. That's a decent sized two groups coming back together there that are going to be a decent sized bunch when they amalgamate.
This is the mausoleum of the poet Nizami Ganjavi in the 12th century, and he's one of the leading poets in the Persian language, one of the most celebrated figures of the medieval East. The monument marks the burial place. Of course, it's a mausoleum, and it was actually rebuilt in modern during the Soviet period, and this is in the center of Ganya where we started, the Imam Sadeh Mausoleum, and that is one of the most important religious and architectural monuments built around the tomb of one of the descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, and looking rather splendid there, and it's a major pilgrimage site as well. Well, that's your touristy information for today, as we have finally made it onto the descent. Top of the climb indicated at 476 meters. Not a lot of water in the river there. So not a lot of water under the bridge, Michael.
Nope. How much rainfall they got around here is one of those things I should have checked. I could have done a whole bit of climate information section. Mind you, our broadcasts this week have been relatively short, so we haven't been trying to focus on the racing.
Yeah, which is what people prefer, of
Yep.
course. If we have long broadcasts, Michael, we tend to go on a little bit of a tangent, just a slight one.
Occasionally.
But today, occasionally. But today we do not have any time for
About
that.
the racing, this gap's still hanging out around 27, 28. I think they're doomed, but they are working reasonably hard at it.
I've been looking at the Medellin jerseys, and for quite some time I was thinking there was some gel sticking out of the pocket, but it's actually in the jersey, the design. Maybe we'll get a close-up of it a little bit later. But for now, it is Bardiani, Burgos Wurpelet doing the work. Of course, Equipo-Ken Pharma have put one rider up there to kind of disturb the action. But yeah, this breakaway sadly will be caught, and then we'll have to check out who made it back to this first group and who didn't in terms of the sprinter. Where is somebody like Gleb Syriza or Timothy Dupont?
Yeah, Bardiani have only really got Luca Cavilli in the GC fight. He's 19 seconds. No, I'm sorry, Alessio Martinelli is also up there, but they may also be looking at their sprinter Minetti, who was he fifth yesterday?
Yeah, fifth
or fifth yesterday.
Like
so
that.
they might be looking toward. They've got reasons to chase, certainly. See the gap on the road.
Yeah, that is roughly 25 seconds.
Interesting feature of the race this week is at no point have I...
It looks like there's a gel sticking out of the pocket, but it's actually in the design of the jersey. Random station.
I've got to say, one of the nice things this week is we have barely ever seen a medium motorbike in front of any of the groups, which is just one of those things there's been a bit of chat about this year. But at this race, I haven't seen that at any point.
Yeah, there's been a few riders quite outspoken about the help of the motorbikes. I know that my former colleague at Escape Collective, Ronan McLaughlin, wrote a very lengthy piece of the influence of motorbikes on the peloton. So if you want to check that out and you have a little bit of time to do some reading, because it's quite long, but also quite interesting about the dynamics of drafting and a motorbike before a breakaway or a peloton.
Makes a significant difference.
It does.
I appreciate, we want the pictures and we want the coverage, and it's part of the nature of professional sport. You have those kind of compromises. If anyone has time, there's a great video of Baku-Khankendi attacking on this Pressa in Milan San Remo in the late 90s in an absolute armada of motorbikes. It's extraordinary. There are motorbikes in front, there are motorbikes beside. It's extraordinary. It's honestly, it's on YouTube. It's well worth going. Also, it's got great Italian commentary on it. It's well worth looking for.
16.3 kilometers left on this fourth stage. Fedorov there in that blue leader's jersey. The peloton has grown, but I do wonder whether the likes of Syriza and Dupont are left. We have another attack from Tiragano team. Yep. Very actively racing, a team that, of course, we don't see all that often, but have got a good track record. They're racing here with Adne van Engelen, Matthias Breinhoy, Juan Pedro Lozano and Noor Amiral Masuki. Pierre Barbier, their sprinter, sadly crashed on the opening stage and broke his hand.
That's unlucky.
As we're racing through this small town, the peloton has got the last remaining two riders of our original breakaway of 9 in sight. The man for Medellin, David Alejandro Gonzalez, and the man in the green jersey of Equipo Kernpharma, Pablo Carrascosa. That means we have, well, not a complete, and the motorbike helps.
And the motorbike swings it in front of them, so that'll teach me to make wise comments about motorbikes. I don't think it's going to help them enough. Put it that way.
No.
I'm not sure they haven't pulled out the gap a little bit, actually. I think it's really just on this descent. It is obviously going to come back together.
Maybe you can take us through the final 15 kilometers, and especially the final today, Michael, because it could be a little bit technical.
Yeah, it's broadly downhill from here. It kicks up just in the last sort of 500 or 600 meters. It kicks up a little bit. I quite call it an uphill sprint, but it'll change the inertia. It requires a bit of judgment just to get through that sort of 500-meter point when the road kicks up. A few corners. We have quite a sharp right-hander at 3 kilometers to go. Another sharpish right-hander just before the Flamme Rouge. And then at 500 meters to go, just when the road kicks up. That is because we're going to turn right at a roundabout, but it's not a 90-degree right. It's a sort of a 45-degree right, and it looks. I've seen some images of it. It looks pretty quick. So I don't think it's super technical, but there are 1 or 2 banana skins in it.
Banana skins.
That's what I'm calling them.
Thirteen and a half kilometers left in this lightning fast stage yet again in the Tour of Azerbaijan, with a peloton who are going for some last refreshments. It's quite a hot day today, hottest day of the week, 27 degrees, and racing out on the plains here. Some of the sprinter types were dropped on the climb that we have, including Gleb Syriza, the winner of yesterday's stage. We don't know just yet whether he managed to return. I don't think so, but hopefully we can get a little bit of an overview here of the peloton, because he is in that green jersey of the points classification. We can get a little bit of an indication who still is in this group, Michael, when it comes to the fast guys.
Yeah, it'd be nice to know. It's one of those points where you think it'd be quite nice if the motor just sort of scanned up the side of the group and get a chance to see who was in there. I'm not sure Syriza is there, because if he was, he would surely be with the rest of the XDS Astana team, and I just don't see that combination of sort of turquoise, green, which to be the key.
No, I could just get information from Stefan of Pro Cycling Stats on site that he is currently driving behind Gleb Syriza, about 1 minute and 30 behind the bunch.
Well, that answers that question.
We have got that. Thank you very much, Stefan. It's a group of about 25 riders, he says. This is an interesting story. This was actually the town where we had our first climb. In Russian, it's called Goigol, but in German, it's called Helenendorf. And that was because it was originally founded by German settlers in the 19th century. And you can still see some of the architecture that is quite clearly German, or might possibly even Bavarian in nature. So yeah, a little bit of German history in Azerbaijan. But we continue here with Equipo-Ken Pharma and our man in the white leader's jersey, Iker Gomez.
I was going to say this group looks to me to have shrunk a little bit again. There were one or two little kick-ups, and I wonder if there were a few people who were struggling to hang on. I was wondering if the group split again. It's got the cars in behind it, so there shouldn't be a big group off the back, but it just looked to me a little smaller than I think it was a few kilometres ago. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I think a lot of riders are going back to the car at this point because it was such a chaotic situation on the climb and the descent. And this is actually at 11 kilometers to go, the last moment that you can get some bottles. And as I mentioned, it's a hot day, it's 27 degrees Celsius, so bottles are very welcome since there's also no Swannies on the side of the road.
Getting Fedorov back to his own domestiquing.
It's a short stage for a World Tour Pro at 152.8 kilometers, just shy of 1,100 meters of elevation. It's not really a big task ahead for an experienced pro like Fedorov.
I'm just trying to keep an eye out for riders like Tim Finsk and Timothy Dupont, Christian David Peter, who were up there yesterday. Haven't really had a proper view yet. I'm sure there'll be some fast men in here.
Of course, yes. If that second group is only around 25 riders, we still have about 100 in this first group, including some of the fast guys. We do know that somebody like Marco Manenti is here, of Bardiani. Aaron Gate is most definitely there. Why not sprint for himself today? Yep. The XDS Astana rider. We have it confirmed that Syriza is most definitely not, and I do assume that somebody like Dupont is in that same peloton as Gleb Syriza. Well, at this speed, Michael, we'll be home in no time.
Yeah, I was thinking Evgeny Fedorov was taking an awful lot of drinks for the remaining 10 minutes of bike racing. I suppose you take it when you can, because clearly they've left the bar open, because it usually means, as we all know, 20 kilometres is the usual limit. But clearly the commissaires have decided it's a hot day, so they're allowing feeding a bit later.
As your explanation of the final kilometres was just inside the commercial break, maybe we can go through it one more time when we get to the final.
Yeah, do you want to do that now?
Yeah, just wait until we end this descent in one piece.
Yeah.
Fedorov has made his way back to the front, as you can see in that blue jersey. No issue whatsoever for him making its way back and going to the front. We've got 8.4 kilometers left to go, Michael, and we are making our way to the Finnish town of Naftalan, where, well, we'll have a pretty decent bunch sprint. What does it look like? Can you tell us one more time what the finale looks like?
I'd be happy to do that. We are pretty much descending from here to somewhere around about 500 or 600 meters to go, and it then just kicks up a little bit towards the finish. It's moderately technical, could we say. There's quite a sharp right-hander at about 3 kilometers, sharp enough that the road bookers are warning about it. So that's the first real problem. There's another right-hand turn just before the Flamme Rouge, which is also moderately sharp, onto quite a wide road, which helps. And then 500 meters to go, there's a roundabout where the bunch is going to turn right, but it's not a 90-degree right, it's for 45 degrees right at that point, and that's just where the road starts to kick up a little bit. So it's not super technical. There are one or two things you could get wrong, and it is, as we always say, it's going to depend a little bit how the organisation has barriered this, because they could have barriered it. It's quite a narrow road. Tends not to be what we've seen the last couple of days. Generally, the finishes have been reasonably wide. So I think it's hopefully going to be a fairly fair and a fairly clean sprint when we get there in 7 kilometers time.
We see the Mongolian national champion currently at the front of the bunch. That could indicate that the man who sprinted to a third place yesterday, Christian Pita, might be in this group. We do know that Dupont is not and Syriza is not. So who knows, a great opportunity for the Rujai Insurance Windspace team.
Well, it would certainly be nice to see another of the sort of smaller teams taking a win. I'm feeling tomorrow is probably going to go the way of XDS or Kern or one of the bigger teams here. So that should be lovely to see the penultimate stage, see one of the smaller teams take it out, which Rujai Insurance would fulfill that description. I don't think I'm being unfair to them. I think a stage win would make their tour of Azerbaijan.
Most definitely, and it's their national champion currently at the lead, so working hard for his teammate. That blue jersey is a jersey that I haven't seen before. I think that is the Vino Motors team, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Vino, yep.
It is the same Astana Kazakhstan XDS blue. I don't know if they're formally related, because XDS Astana, of course, has their own feeder team. We also have the Obidos team yet again. They did have a top 10 place with Alvaro Naves yesterday. All the work that they invested in it, the 10th place was not a top 10 place was not maybe what they had hoped for. But they got a few of their riders up front there as well. Could be a good opportunity for, because I also did not spot our winner of the opening stage, Michael, the big man from Belarus, of the Leaning Star team.
And Leaning Star have been, if he's in the group, they have been very, very willing to work.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think if he was there, number 51, if anybody spots him.
Well, we have more riders who want to try and avoid that bunch sprint. The Kipoken Pharma have been on the attack. Oh, that's a powerful one. That's a good attack. 5.3 kilometers left to go.
That's quite a shrewd move, actually, just as the road, just taking advantage of that little rise in the road. And onto the descent, and again, very little wind. So, yeah, quite a slick attack, actually.
Yeah, Kipoken Pharma, they're here for the GC. They don't have sprinters with them. So this is the way forward for them. Here we are at the back of the bunch with Johnny Marchand of Tartaletto Isorex. Teugels and Lefebvre are also in this group, and the other three of the Belgian team are in that group at a minute and a half. Yet again, the Mongolian national champion, Bait Sagan, doing a formidable job, just like he did yesterday in that breakaway, really coming across as a strong rider. And he's now doing all that work to make sure that his sprinter has a good shot at going for victory in this stage.
Well, this is also one of the races for some of the riders from the smaller teams who kind of quite like to show themselves, because it's televised, it's got a couple of World Tour, it's got a World Tour team, World Tour directors here. So it could be a very good race in which to get some work done.
Uriarte is the man at the front of Equipoken Pharma. There's a little bit of a gap there as we're inside the final 4 kilometers. As you can see from the shape of the bunch, it is fast. It is such a fast stage today that we are going to finish well ahead of the faster schedule that was at 1:05 local time. Well, we will be in about 5-6 minutes, I think. So that would mean that we are about 15 minutes ahead of the faster schedule here in Naftalan, outside the Heydar Aliyev Park. Not the only one called like that in this country, as he is considered one of the most important Azerbaijani ever lived. We can see his big picture everywhere, just like we see in Turkey with Kemal Atatürk. The attack by Diego Uriarte almost neutralized due to the work of the Burgos Burpelet team. We see Iker Gomez, the teammate of Uriarte, in second place, trying to protect this attack, but Burgos Burpelet has neutralized it yet again. Of course, they have got Eric Fagundes, who has been on the podium already, sprinted to top 5s, and could be a good contestant. It is a good week for people on a bike from Uruguay, so why not add another stage win for Uruguay?
It certainly is. I'm trying to spot the numbers here if I can.
He's got number 31. I think, yeah, he's on the left-hand side there, in between the two riders of Nippo. That is where we find Fagundes.
Don't see Timothy DuPont. I don't think he's there.
No, he's not in this group.
He's not going to be in that group, and I don't think our stage 1 winner Shurko is here either.
No, number 51 also not represented in that first group. That Cat 2 climb that we had at 30 kilometers to go really killed off the chances of some of our sprinters today.
It was designed to kill sprinters, basically, that climb.
Yeah. Final 2 kilometers here of stage 4 of the Tour of Azerbaijan, or the Baku-Khankendi Azerbaijan cycling race as it's called. We are heading towards the line in Naftalan, full gas. We had a breakaway of 9 riders today. Last remaining riders were caught about 10 kilometers, 12 kilometers ago. The speed has been incredibly high. We are about 15 minutes ahead of the fastest schedule yet again, and that is an average speed of well over 55 kilometers an hour. Some of the winners of the sprint stages so far, not in this group anymore. No Schnirko, no Gleb Syriza. We also don't have Timothy DuPont here, meaning that there's opportunities for riders like Christian David Pita, Marco Manenti, and who knows, Eric Antonio Fagundes, the man from Uruguay, as we are approaching that Flamme Rouge now here in the streets of Naftala. It's a little bit of an uphill sprint. It's only marginally 2-3% maximum, and it is full speed. It's hard to recognize the riders. We do know Manenti is there for Bardiani. Eric Gate is there as well as Henok Mulleberan for XDS Astana, but now it's all about staying in position. We have a late flyer coming in from one of the riders. It's hard to recognize any of these riders at the front right now from a helicopter shot, but it's all about the green or turquoise of both XDS Astana and Bardiani at the moment. Fedorov is there. Aaron Gate is a little bit further back. This is the finish straight with Iker Gomez doing the lead out. We have Fedorov there, we have Mulleberan there, we have Manenti there as well. Riders are really going for it. It is narrowing just a little bit, but wide enough for everybody, with Manenti currently in pole position for Bardiani. Also, Henok Mulleberan is still out there, and one of the riders of Ruja, is that then the Christian David Pena, or is it Manenti? Manenti celebrates of Bardiani, we do assume is him. But yeah, those 3% in the final kick was a little bit difficult, but Manenti celebrated. So it could be a win for the Italian. It is a win for Bardiani, Michael. And it is indeed Marco Manenti.
It is Marco Manenti. That was a heavy sprint.
It was hard.
2.5–3%. And kind of looking at it, it felt almost like a little bit more. It could sometimes be just a little bit difficult to judge it, but that was a long sprint. It was a hard sprint, and I really thought the XDS Astana rider on the right-hand side, as we look at it, was going to get by, but no, he didn't.
And also the Colombian rider there of Rujai, who was third yesterday, put in quite a performance. Christian Pita, but in the end, it's the powerful pedal strokes. Well, it's very close. No, no. It was an early. It could have been an early celebration. But
I think Pita got third. Pita got third again.
Yeah.
That's what happened
there. Mulleberan in second.
Mulleberan, as you say, yeah, in second. I agree.
Well, the celebrations are there for the Bardiani team, or as they're officially called, Bardiani CSF 7 Sabre. And it's the first professional win for this man as well. Marco Manenti, 23-year-old from Bergamo, all the way up north in Lombardia. And a very powerful sprint. Look at the relief on his face. We love that. We love a maiden win, don't we, Michael?
Yeah, we do, and the team worked for him today, so they clearly had a bit of faith in him, and he will be genuinely delighted to have rewarded that, because it's your first step to becoming, one of the next step up comes from kind of delivering under a little bit of pressure like that. So he will be, he'll be delighted.
Manenti, Mulleberan, Christian Pita is the provisional top 3 at the moment. Only the second victory for Bardiani CSF this year. The first one was actually the national championship for their Chilean rider, Vincenzo Rojas. So yeah, as we discussed before, it's not easy for second tier, let alone third tier teams to win professional bike race. This is only the second one for Bardiani. Here's the group with Gleb Syriza and Dupont and Schnürko as well, meaning that most of the riders now cross the line. No changes on GC. Yevgeny Fedorov still in that blue leader's jersey. Tomorrow will be crunch time with a very challenging finale. The final 40 kilometers tomorrow, Michael, will be exciting. I hope they won't race as fast as they did today, because otherwise we won't have much to show. Let's go through that final kilometer again with you.
Yeah, at this point we could really just see the teams at the front, because the helicopter shot, obviously it's a bit distant. Obviously XCS San up there, Bardiani up there. Baku-Khankendi Pharma still have one or two riders up there. Rujai Insurance are still up there as well. And we go behind the trees. We come then to this roundabout where we're going to take a right in just a few seconds, I think. I'll judge where I am properly. And that's kind of, you can see that that's where it just starts to kick up. We can see from the flags there's very little wind, but it's that kick up that's going to make the sprint into quite a heavy sprint. The Giant Shirt's still on the front at this point. Yeah, that's the right hand turn. Go behind the trees and up the hill. And you can see at this point Bardiani are still sort of third and fourth and fifth wheel. And let's come out at that point. Bardiani rider has been sitting on the XCS Astana rider's wheel and then went the other side as clearly Peter Rujai had opened up a little bit too soon, because he was probably just got to the front of it soon and didn't have any choice but to open up his sprint. And that just left the door open for Marco Manetti to nip round his right hand side and take the win.
Provisional top 10 of stage 4. Marco Manenti wins for Bardiani. Henok Mulleveran second. Christian David Pita of the Rujai Insurance team. Sander Inion of Madar, the Belgian rider. Another top 5 place for Mohamed Hafiz, the young Indonesian. Hugo Asnar, Yevgeny Fedorov, Franciszek Kazorovski, Fabrice Lefevre and Dylan Pfingst. That is the top 10, with Fedorov still the leader on GC with one stage to go. And that means that we have a winner. We have an interview with the winner coming up with Marco Manenti. We have some more cycling for you to enjoy, of course, today with the continuation of the Giro d'Italia stage 5. It's going to be, I think, the hardest so far. And we will be live in just over 30 minutes. So it's quite a long stage. And then later today, we also have the opening stage of the Tour of Hungary, which is as flat as it could possibly get. There's not a hill in sight. Tim Merlier is racing there amongst the other riders, of course, but he's the big favourite. Jez and Magnus will be with you on the Tour of Hungary. And our Giro d'Italia team, of course, ready for you as well. From 11:30 continental time. This is the stage, Michael. It is Praia Amare to Potenza. It is a rather long one. It's an Italian stage, of course. 203 kilometers with a total of almost 3,300 meters of elevation. We have a third Catherine climb straight out of the gate, and then a long slog through the valley. Then we go to Monte Grande di Figiano, and that is a 6.6 kilometer climb at 9% average at 50 kilometers from the line. We stay in the high mountains, and then one more kicker in the streets of Potenza. 203 kilometers long. We have the lovely Ciccone in the pink leader's jersey. He's got 4 seconds on Jan Christen. Florian Stork is still out there. Bernal, Arendsman, Pellizzari, Van Eetveld, and we find Jonas Vingegaard in 11th position, just 10 seconds down. Judging from the profile, Michael, I think today might be the day that Jonas Vingegaard takes the pink jersey.
That's a tough looking stage, actually.
It is hard. It's 3,300 meters of elevation.
Yeah, climbing straight out of the gate as well. That's just horrible.
We got highlights for you of stage 4. We started in the town of Ganya, one of the oldest cities in the country, due to the fact that it was already on the Silk Road route. 2 millennia ago. 152.8 kilometers. We had Fedorov in the blue leader's jersey, Syriza in the green points jersey, Teugels as best climber, and Iker Gomez as best young rider. We had climbing straight from the gun, a third category climb, points there for Lennart Teugels, but it was the second category climb on the course, the climb that was 2.8 kilometers long, 7.2%. That was really the difficult one. That is where we picked up most of the breakaway of today. 9 riders at the front, and 2 riders of the breakaway remained, with Pablo Carrascosa, the Spanish rider of Equipo-Ken and David Gonzalez of Medellin. Attacks coming from the peloton on that second category climb, and another super fast stage, racing around 15 minutes ahead of the fastest schedule yet again. No wind, unfortunately, but despite the lack of wind, there was still a lot of fighting. But imagine having a crosswind on a road like this. That could have been great to watch, not so great to be part of. In the end, we would have a bunch kick, despite all these skirmishes trying to get away at around 25 kilometers to go. This is the bike of Carrascosa, still ahead of that breakaway of 9 riders alongside David Gonzalez. The break of our 9 riders also had Sambayar Tsikhkov, Lozano, the South Korean national champion Yoon, Fabrice Lefebvre, Polish rider Anthony Muric and Ahmet Erken. Those were the 9 riders that we had in the breakaway. On a hot day, about 27 degrees Celsius for the riders. Bardiani, Burpelet did a lot of the work, of course, for their fast guys. Bardiani, CSF 7 Sabre, with Marco Manenti, who's been in the top 10 in the previous 2 sprint stages, having full confidence in their rider. Pablo Carrascosa of Equipo-Ken, 23 years young only. Same goes for the Colombian rider at the front. Little counter-attack here by Adne van Engelen of the Terangano team. And in this village, our 2 leaders are finally caught by quite a decimated peloton. We do know that there's a group at around 1:30 at this point, with the likes of Gleb Syriza, Alexei Schnirko and Timothy Dupont, arguably the fastest guys in this peloton, but still a sizable group. And quite a few fast guys that we have seen in the top 10 so far. So we are making our way to Naftalan for the finish of today's stage. No problems for Yevgeny Fedorov, who's still at around 11 kilometers from the line, went back to the car to get some refreshments on this hot day. But since the final was almost entirely in a downhill motion, it was no issue whatsoever for Fedorov. We had Diego Uriarte on a little bit of a flyer here for Equipo-Ken, trying to avoid that bunch kick. And then the champion of Mongolia, White Sagan, doing a lot of work at the front of the bunch, trying to get that group with Uriarte back. This is then the finish straight, with wide roads yet again, a very safe finale, with Manenti going on the right-hand side, Mulabaran on the left-hand side, and then the Colombian rider Pita of the Rujai team trying to get past Manenti. But Manenti quite far up front, almost over his handlebars, wins his first professional win, and only the second of the year for Bardiani. That was an interesting perspective, Michael. He was so far up front on his bike that he could almost throw himself over the handlebars.
Tiny bit Mark Cavendish-esque, just
Yeah,
very,
indeed.
very low over the bars, very aero. I thought for a second in that sprint that actually what we had there were 2 XDS Astana riders sprinting against each other, because the jerseys are terribly similar.
They are.
Great win.
most
It's a
definitely.
pity for Peter that he got there a little bit too soon, because he had a great sprint.
Mulabaran taking 6 bonus seconds, which brings him to just 8 seconds of his teammate Fedorov on GC. So that is it's interesting as well, as Mulabaran, of course, alongside Fedorov, are 2 of the main GC favourites. I wonder what XDS Astana are going to play tomorrow in the final stage, as they have 2 riders within contention of winning the GC? Are they going for Fedorov, or are they going for Mulebaran, or is it just each in their own and see who comes out on top?
Yeah, I'd love to see them. I'd love to see it just unfold the way it unfolds. I suspect Evgeny Fedorov probably going to get the nod on the basis that he's in the jersey at the minute. Maybe that's why he was back getting the drinks today. Maybe he's just trying to look like a team player.
GC
Bear in mind,
at the
there's
moment.
also Aaron Gates only 16 seconds back as well, so
True.
he would have an opportunity too. And I think he probably came to the race as their favoured rider.
Yeah, judging from what he showed last year in Boucle de la Mayenne, this could be right up his alley. Fedorov currently leads GC with 8 seconds on both Alex Balmer and his teammate Hinok Mulebaran. Fagundes is in 4th place at 15, Gates in 5th at 16 seconds, Hugo Aznar of Equipo Ken Pharma at 18 seconds, and then we have that big group at just 19 seconds with Berade, Teugels, Raliano, but also Callum Johnston, who's still up there at 19 seconds as a group of around 23 riders still within contention of winning the Baku-Khankendi Azerbaijan race, as we have our final stage tomorrow. 181.5, quite a mellow start to the stage, but a really punchy end. Maybe one last time, Michael, to give you the opportunity very shortly to tell us what Naftalan is known for. And not a very healthy habit.
Naftalan is known for oil baths, crude oil baths. This has been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Sounds very unhealthy.
Alternative medicine. You sit in literally a bath, like a domestic bath, and they fill it with crude oil, and you sit in it like a seabird that's been caught in an oil slick. And it looks kind of horrendous, but there are kind of articles by Westerners particularly who've gone to do this, come back, say it feels like sitting in molten chocolate, it smells quite nice. Some questions about whether it might be carcinogenic, which I must admit would put me off it as a health treatment, but was enormously popular during the Soviet era. 75,000 visitors a year used to come here to sit in oil.
To bathe in oil?
Yeah, and these days about 30,000 people a year come here to bathe in oil. So an interesting alternative medical practice.
Luckily, they have their own supply and not depending on the Strait of Hormuz. So,
one thing they've got here, it's oil.
Most definitely. We're waiting for the interview with Marco Manenti, and then, of course, the podium ceremony with the 4 jerseys and the top 3 of the stage. There we go, Marco Manenti.
Marco Manenti, congratulations on today's performance. How do you view this stage today?
But I'm very happy for this winner, for my team, and nothing. It was a hard day today, 4th stage of this tour. There was a breakaway with 3 minutes, but we were very easy, and in the final, my DS, Direct Sportive, believe in me, and my teammates believe in me in this sprint, and this is for all the team.
What was the deciding factor today? What was the point where the stage win was set?
In the final, there was a short climb, but in the first peloton there weren't a sprinter, and I have a good sprint and nothing. In the final, I had help of my teammates, and I sprint for the victory.
And how are your ambitions and those of your team for tomorrow, for the final stage?
But we have a free GC man for tomorrow, and nothing. Tomorrow there is another day, and nothing.
Okay, congratulations again, and good luck for tomorrow, and enjoy the day for today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, a happy camper. His first professional win is for Marco Manenti. Said my team manager had confidence in me. My team did, so I had confidence in me as well. It's almost like Sound of Music.
Also takes the points jersey.
Oh, that's a good one. Thank you. So he will race in that green jersey, but didn't seem to have very high expectations from tomorrow, which will be a GC day. And we'll be live same time tomorrow for the final day from Azerbaijan. That is our mascot taking off his head.
He doesn't have any eye holes.
No, he doesn't indeed. He's running blind, isn't he?
It's quite funny. I'm enjoying that. Where am I?
Maybe they should have included some like gauze.
He must have. He must have something, but it doesn't look like he does. Does it?
No. Well, like you have to start your career somewhere, don't you?
Yeah, it's like riding for a development team, isn't it?
Well, here we have our resort and spa. I don't know if they are doing the crude oil bath, but this could be the perfect moment where you did your crude oil bath and advertisement talk.
I'm not quite sure.
Don't go into that pool with your crude oil on you.
Yeah, I think this is one of the spas that you can have a crude oil bath at. There used to be dozens of them. I think they're really down to one or two now. It used to be absolutely huge, and very much the main industry of the time. Seems extraordinary. It's on the Silk Road, which we haven't really mentioned either.
No, we haven't had time to say anything about the Silk Road at all.
Yeah,
We'll come back next year.
It's an interesting, but it's not a 2 minute story really. Marco Polo, I think, was through here at some point. I think Marco Polo wrote about oil baths in the 13th century.
Indeed. He also didn't get very old. I don't see
Marco Polo, he was 1967, 68, I think, when he died.
Yeah, in that time it was pretty decent.
I think Marco Polo did okay. I don't think the oil, whatever killed him, I don't think it was oil baths.
No. It might have given him a longer life, what do we know?
He lived to be nearly 70 and very rich, so, I think in the 13th century, not too shabby.
Here's the GC confirmation. Another podium place there for a man from Colombia, Cristian Pita. Second place goes to Henak Modaberan, Eritrean rider. We know that Eritrean fans are everywhere, and they're also here, apparently. That's what Jeremy Ford told me, Rising. But the winner is a young man from the north of Italy. Bright-faced and smiling.
He's 23, but he doesn't even look that old.
No, he could be 16 as well.
Yeah. I'd love to see him, somebody taking a maiden win like that.
Yeah, we do.
Always nice.
And I also like the Bardiani jerseys, by the way.
I just wish they weren't quite so similar to the XCS Astana jerseys.
True. They have to schedule a phone call for next year
From the front.
they have to schedule a little bit of a conference call for next year to
Yep. I ran a pit area at the Commonwealth Games one year for the Northern Irish team, and the Guernsey team's jerseys, by coincidence, were literally identical. And I was the first, running the first pit in the pit area, and I gave so many of our bottles to Guernsey riders.
Guernsey.
And after a few laps, they realised I couldn't tell the difference, so they would start doing it deliberately.
But is it all varieties on the George's Cross and all the?
No, it was just that they were kind of green shoulders and then something red below that and then white, and it was just pure coincidence that the colorway, the colors and designs were almost identical. And yeah, I couldn't for the life of me tell the difference in our riders and their riders.
But did you disenfranchise your own riders, or were they left thirsty?
Well, no, because I can admit to this now, I stole an entire Scottish cooler full of bottles, so and it was for a much bigger team, so I had more bottles than I could conceivably have given to our team in the course of the day, so it didn't really matter. No. Our problem was I was, of course, helping one or two Guernsey riders who I shouldn't have.
Well.
So Scotland are wondering where the cooler went in Glasgow 2014. That's where it went.
Well, here you go. They might need it for this year's Commonwealth as well. It is in Glasgow, isn't it?
It is, yes. No road racing there, though. So.
No, that is sad. Yeah. I think we have BMX and track only when it comes to cycling.
Yeah, and I think there's no marathon. I don't think they're doing anything that involves closing the. And it was a sort of an emergency last-minute Commonwealth, so it's not really a criticism. They didn't have to do it. They stepped up when the previous host pulled out. So I say well done to Glasgow.
Yeah.
But it's a shame not to have any road events.
We saw somebody hand out the flags here, so everybody's ready to wave them. Here we have the top 10 yet again, but we're going to move on to the GC, and that is, of course, still Yevgeny Fedorov, winner of stage 2. Yeah.
Hugo Asnar sprinting into 6th place there for an absolute non-sprinter is actually not the worst result I've seen today. 55-kilo climber.
Baku-Khankendi Azerbaijan velosiped yarışının təşkilat komitəsinin rəhbəri cənab Sahib Ələkbərov.
Our podium girls have another colour jersey on today. Red yesterday, black today, or pink yesterday.
Yevgeny Fedorov is the tallest rider in the race, I believe.
Yeah.
193 centimetres. So, and actually second on GC is Alexander Balmer, who's also 193 centimetres. So looking at this, you would imagine that the key to cycling success was just being very, very tall.
Apparently. And Mulabaran is not a small guy either, so...
They'll have to get taller podium girls for next year.
The podium ceremony as viewers, so well, here we go. Here's your podium ceremony with even some extra drama.
They didn't have a Trober Leon, I believe they didn't actually have a live pick this year. I think they had a
No, that was yeah.
I can sort of see why, but kind of a shame.
Yeah.
For a lot of Belgian races, you get to see bike riders trying to drink enormous glasses of beer. That's always entertaining.
Yep, but Peters had downed it, didn't she?
Yep.
At the Amstel Gold race, the full thing. Well, it creates some good content for our social media team.
It does.
Well, he gets to wear a worn jersey.
A slightly sweaty jersey.
Yeah. And let's see if Iker Gomez brings his sticker again to put on the jersey.
Oh yes, of course, that was quite stylish. Yeah, more podium entertainment.
Tomorrow, of course, Tuchels will have the logo of the team on the jersey, but they didn't have it ready. Well, the podium girls have it easier with Tuchels.
But for some reason he doesn't get a kiss. That seems a little bit sad for him.
That means the white jersey presented by Asviert. Today,
the winner of the white
10 points between Teugels and Balmer, 15 points on offer tomorrow on stage 5. We have our second cat climb at 23 and then our first cat climb at 14.7 from the line. And here's Iker Gomez without a sticker today.
The honors are done by Mr. Fikret Huseynov, Executive Vice President of the Azerbaijan Cycling Federation.
En yaxşı velosipedçimizə ağ köynəyi təqdim edir. Fikret Hüseynov, Azerbaijan Velosiped İdmanı Federasiyası'nın
Oh, they brought the sticker for him, Michael. He didn't even have to bring it himself.
It's on a tray. Excellent.
That is
That's what I call
lovely.
service. So, did Kern Pharma come equipped with these stickers for precisely this purpose? On the basis that... Oh, I like that.
Oh, he's
well done.
minutes. Yeah. Oh no, this is also the wrong graphic on the screen. Everything's going wrong with the podium today.
At the Baku-Khankendi Azerbaijan cycling
We add
race.
drama for you on the go with our podiums today. There we go.
Do you know, I kind of admire the very relaxed way he's standing on the podium, just peeling the backing paper off his sticker.
Yeah, he's got another mini horse.
That's really, as somebody in the press, in the publicity department of Kern deserves a prize for bringing
Absolutely,
stickers.
for bringing stickers.
That's actually pretty smart.
That's very professional. That should earn them a new sponsor.
Yep.
Oh well, this concludes the coverage of stage 4, which again was lightning fast. Tomorrow, Michael Hutchinson and myself, Jose Ben, will be with you same time as today, 9 a.m. in the morning. And yeah, for the final day, and then we'll know whether it's going to be Yevgeny Fedorov winning the overall, Alex Balmer, Henok Mureberan, or some of the other 23 riders still within contention in a very challenging final. So please tune in tomorrow. Enjoy the Giro and Hungary later today. Bye-bye.